Today, we'll enjoy the last episode with our current board president as he provides updates on several big projects in the village. Stay tuned to learn the latest about the Tanasi rebuild, infrastructure projects, the 2025 budget, and more. It's coming right now, so stay tuned. Welcome to the Telico Village Quarterly POA Board Update. I'm Carla Johnson, and I'm here with your 2024 Board President, Bob Brunetti, to review village topics from the fourth quarter of this year. Welcome, Bob, and thank you for joining us on Telico Village Network.
Carla, it's a pleasure to be here, and I've enjoyed the past year being with you.
An exciting project that we have been following for more than 2 years is the Tanasi Clubhouse rebuild. After a fire rendered the facility a complete loss in 2022, committees of property owners, board members, and POA staff have been working toward replacing the Tanasi golf facility and restaurant. The long-awaited groundbreaking ceremony took place on December 2nd on the site of the new building. Bob, please share with our viewers the updated timeline for the phases of this project.
Yes, Carla, I'm happy to announce that we have in fact signed a contract with RTC Construction. That's the company that built the Telico Clubhouse. They're a local company with local subcontractors we've had great results with in the past. The project is basically a 4-phase project. The first one is moving the cart path around the 9th hole, which would be a temporary cart path to the cart barn. The second part is going to be constructing a temporary parking lot where the putting green is now. The putting green will be taken out except for a small part at the bottom, so people will have a place to warm up a little bit. That will become a gravel parking lot with a thin layer of coating on it. That'll free up the present parking lot for construction vehicles, construction equipment, trucks and trailers, etc. Once the building is completed, the third part of it will be to take away the temporary pro shop, the temporary cart barn, and redo the parking lots completely. At the end of this, we'll have approximately 240 parking places where we had 120 before, so there'll be plenty of parking for golfers, boaters, just people coming to eat. There'll be plenty of space there. The landscaping and everything will be done as part of the third phase.
Well, that's very exciting news. And can you tell us what the timeline is going to be? When do we expect that construction to be complete? The
construction timeline is 12 to 14 months, depending on the weather. If we get better weather, it might be done sooner or not. The expected completion date is sometime in the first quarter of 2026.
We look forward to that. So how will golf operations be impacted during these phases of the construction project?
Golf operations will continue. The pro shop will be there. The cart barn will be there. There'll be some rerouting of the parking and the carts themselves. But we tend to keep the golf course open and in good condition, and you can still make tee times there, and it should, just with a little finesse, we should be fine.
Great. So people can continue to make their tee times there. The golf course will continue, I'm sure, to be in great shape, and so there's no reason to avoid Tanasi during this construction
project. That's correct. You just have to be a little patient and use common sense when pulling in and out of the parking lot.
And there should be plenty of parking in the new temporary parking lot.
Yes, there should be plenty of parking.
To receive the most up-to-date information, I encourage you to sign up for the Telico Village Golf mailing list if you haven't already. Just call any of our pro shops or email Tanasi head golf professional Lucas Forstrom and ask to be added to the mailing list. His email address is lforstrom@tvpoa.org. Managing the Tanasi Clubhouse construction project for the village will be our new project manager, Scott McCrae. He was introduced to property owners during the November board meeting. Bob, please tell us a little bit more about Scott and his role.
Scott's a new resident to the village, or actually he's been a resident for a while. He has 30+ years in experience in construction and project management. He is going to be the eyes and the ears of the POA on this project, along with Public Works. He'll be involved basically on a daily basis with the contractor and the contracts project manager to answer any questions, make any changes that are needed, and simply be there for the POA on this project.
That's great. I'm sure that his management experience will be a real benefit to the POA during this project. And also, he'll be managing the upcoming water and sewer projects, right? The infrastructure improvements and expansion.
We're very glad to have Scott on board. He's very knowledgeable. And once this project gets completed, we'll start on the other projects, and he will be involved in those also.
And that brings us to that topic, the water and sewer infrastructure projects. As we discussed during the third quarter update, the board has been working to address the need to update and expand our water and sewer system for several years. They have received data from the Public Services Advisory Committee, the Public Works Department, and a top-rated engineering firm, Jacobs Engineering Group. During the November meeting, there was extensive discussion regarding the proposed projects, especially the proposed wastewater treatment tank. To be clear, it is not the POA Board's purview to identify infrastructure needs and determine solutions. Rather, it is their responsibility to review recommendations from advisory committees, staff, and professional experts when needed, then to make the best practical and financial decisions for the village. Bob, will you please share your perspective about this process with our viewers?
This has been an ongoing project for the past 5 years or more. We have employed, as you know, Jacobs Engineering, a top-rated engineering firm, which has been working with the village actually since the beginning of the village and is very familiar with our water and sewer system and its needs. There are differing opinions about Jacobs as far as, their expertise, but they are consistently rated as one of the top engineering firms in the country, and we have worked with them successfully in the past and hopefully in the future.
Once the general plan had been approved by the board, what happens with each individual project in that plan? Well,
the board, as you know, has approved what's called the TAP plan, or Telico Action Plan, which involves 5 different projects. The plan itself has been approved at this time. The projects themselves have not. So what will happen in the next phase will be each project will be sent out for bid, which has not been done yet. And once the bids come back, then the board will again have to approve the projects as bid or make any changes as deemed necessary. Now, there has been a meeting, as the last board meeting, as you saw, there was a number of people who were concerned about the wastewater tank. As a result of that meeting, a second meeting took place on December 6th with Mr. Reed and Mr. Lackey and their team, which is the two new board members, concerning an alternative. The board is reviewing the information that was provided by Mr. Lackey and Mr. Reed and their team, and is reviewing any alterations or changes to the plan that may in fact be helpful to the village or less costly to the village.
So are there any other considerations for the board besides the current water and sewer issues when making these types of decisions?
We ask for expertise. We have our expert. They have different experts. We have to evaluate the experts' opinions and their solutions. The board itself looks to outside information or outside expertise before making any decision.
Right. And I understand there's a little bit more to it than just solving the water and sewer issues in the village, right? There's some compliance with, is it the EPA?
Well, because we're on a TVA lake, there are different groups that are involved. The Tennessee Department of TDEC, or the Tennessee Department of Economic Development, the TVA, the EPA, because where the system is now is so close to the lake. So there are certain governmental agencies we have to talk to, get approvals from, and deal with during the course of the projects.
So these projects will help to keep us in compliance with the EPA as well?
Yes, they will.
And the other agencies
yes.
that you mentioned. Our viewers are encouraged to visit the POA website at telicovillagepoa.org/tap to view the videos and review all the information available regarding the water and sewer projects. Now, Bob mentioned that there are people in the village who have knowledge and expertise in a variety of areas. If you are one of those people, please consider serving on one of our 12 advisory committees. To learn more and apply to serve, visit telicovillagepoa.org/committees. Another highlight of the November board meeting was approval of the 2025 budget, including the amounts for property assessments and amenity user fees. And for detailed information, our viewers can watch the budget review meetings available on Telico Village Network. But what's the view from about 30,000 feet?
Well, the budget process actually started back in the spring, or early summer in June, where each department head was presented with a business plan or asked to do a business plan for each department starting then. They were also asked to do what's called a SWAT analysis, which stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. which is the first time we either done both of those, the business plans and the SWOT analysis, to look at each department separately and to determine what the best course of business is for each department. That's been done. The SWOT analysis and the business plans at some point will be posted on the POA website. They are being edited at this time based on some changes that were made at the last board meeting when it was approved. The fees have gone up 3%, which is basically in accordance with inflation. The only one that really went up a lot is the boat slips, went up 10%. That really is based on the analysis done by the Long Range Planning Committee, where our fees are much less than the private marinas. One thing about the boat docks is we reallocated certain items to the boats this year, the Marina Budget, the cost of insurance, the cost of electricity, which previously was not considered in the setting the fees for the boat docks, has been considered this time around, and that's one of the reasons for the 10% increase. If you put the insurance and the electricity and a couple other smaller items, the docks actually are subsidized just like the rest of the amenities are.
And every year the budget is a huge undertaking, and so I know you guys are happy to have that approved and have that behind you and ready to move on to the 2025 projects. So thank you for all the work that you did on that and how often that the property owners were able to be a part of that process. Appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you.
Due to the holidays and schedule constraints, we are recording this update in advance of the December board meeting. However, we want to let you know about a contract that is slated for approval at that meeting. In 2021, the POA purchased the remaining acres and development rights from the original developer, Cooper Communities. One parcel of that land, located in the Kahidi neighborhood, was sent out for bid to be developed. Bob, what news do you have to share with us about that?
As you stated, when we bought this property back in 2021, this is one of the parcels that we bought. It's approximately 17.2 acres of land. And the big part of that purchase back in 21 was the developer rights, so that we could have control over what was built, how it was built, when it was built. We have been marketing these pieces of property for the last couple of years. We finally have a buyer, a reputable builder who's approached us and going to buy that piece of property and build single-family homes. All these homes will be, again, have to be approved by the ACC. They will pay monthly assessments. The builder is also going to put in the infrastructure, going to put in the water, sewer, electrical, all those, which again will have to be overseen and approved by the ACC and the Public Works Department. Once that is completed, the infrastructure will again be turned over to the POA and will become part of our POA system.
How will the proceeds from the sale of this land be used?
Back in 2021, when we purchased the various parcels from the Cooper Communities, we took out a loan. That loan amount was $3.75 million, payable over 30 years with a 5-year balloon, which would be due in September of 2026. That balloon payment will be approximately $2.9 million. The proceeds from this sale will all go towards paying off that loan, which was the intent originally, was to sell the property as we could and pay off the loan prior to the balloon payment being due.
Okay, and the lots and homes in this new development, as you mentioned, will be Telico Village homes, subject to ACC permit approval and property assessments, right?
That's correct. They'll all become part of Telico Village and part of our revenue stream.
So it will provide additional revenue through the village for as long as those properties exist.
Right. And the builder who's building these homes is, as I said, a reputable builder, has built many homes in Telico Village, and they'll all be in conformity with the other homes in the neighborhood.
This year, we had 2 openings on the POA board. The election was held in November, with results announced on Friday, November 22nd. Nearly 53% of eligible Telico Village property owners voted, and while that is a record number of votes recorded, we encourage all of our property owners to participate in the future selection of our representatives. The 2 new members elected are Michael Lackey and Joel Reed. The results of the election will be certified and the new members seated during the December board meeting. A separate special meeting will then be held to elect officers for 2025. The 2 members whose terms have ended are our current board president, Bob Brunetti, and John Arguelles. On behalf of my fellow property owners, we extend our gratitude for the considerable time both of you spent serving the village and for making decisions to protect our quality of life, property values, and the financial health of the village for the future. Thank you.
Just like to take a moment to thank all the board members, present and past, the ones that I've served with over the past 3 years, the entire staff and employees of Telico Village, not just the executive staff, but all the employees that I've met. They are all very dedicated to Telico Village. I'd also like to make a special thank you to all the advisory committee members that I've seen and worked with over the past 3 years. And there are over 100, if you count all the ones that have come and gone over the last 3 years. So there are well over 100 villagers who have served on these various committees, spent numerous hours in meetings, workshops, and are a great help to the board. I mean, the board depends on these advisory committees for their opinions. All these advisory committees, the persons have certain expertise, which are a great help to the board. So it's not just the board making these decisions. It's the board, it's the property owners themselves on the advisory committees, which are basically telling the board what they believe is the correct thing to do.
And you have provided great leadership during this time, through your entire tenure on the board, but especially this past year as president. And so thank you very much. We started a tradition last year with then President Marty Inkrot to toast the outgoing year, and with it, the POA Board President. Thank you, Shauna. Here's our producer, Shauna Hunt. Thank you again, Bob, for your service to the Board of Directors for the past 3 years and for your significant contributions to a bright future for Telico Village. Here's to playing more golf next year, and here's to another successful year in our little slice of paradise.
Thank you, Carla. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.